So this is a redo of the one I published yesterday. We're going to start with some of the same bass shots. What I've done is I've gone back and I've recorded directly from the tape. So no microphone, no speakers. When you hear the playback, it's going to be directly off the tape, so we can do a direct comparison. Let's take a listen. Well, since we're playing with cassette decks right now, I figured that I would haul this one out. This is one that was given to me, a year or so ago. A buddy of mine gave it to me. The regulator was failed on it. This is a Pioneer Elite. It's a CT07D, D as in digital. And this one now is fully functional. At least it was when I fixed it. And this one here, it has a 20-bit A to D, D to A converter. What it does is it digitizes the playback signal so that it can apply digital noise reduction and then converts it back to analog. It also has a digital input, so you can record direct from a CD. If you have a coaxial output, you can send it right to this deck. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to try a couple of different types of tapes. Now, the nice thing about this deck is it's a record play on both decks. First of all, they're both auto-reverse decks, and both decks will record and play. That was the strength to this. It's a two-head deck. We're going to see how this sounds. We're going to try it on 4 different types of tapes. Standard tape, Type 2 tape, Type 3 tape, and of course, Type 4. We'll just do a brief recording on each of these tapes, and we'll play it back and see how it sounds. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try a standard tape, and we're going to rewind these tapes, start each one from the beginning, and we'll make a recording off of a CD, and we'll just take a listen to see how it sounds on playback. Now, give these the best chance of success, I'm going to use Dolby C on both decks. Although, actually, you know what? Let's try it without any Dolby at all. We'll turn it off completely, and we'll see how the noise reduction works in this digital circuit. This unit's kind of unique because it has a feature called parallel record. So I've got a Type 1 tape loaded in deck number 1, as you can see, and I have a Type 3 tape loaded into deck number 2. I've got the tape count, or I got the level set for a peak of 0 dB, and we can try a parallel record on this by pressing this button. Both decks should go into record at the same time. There we go. Both decks recording. Let's try a parallel recording and see how the units perform. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the same test as before, but now I've set up an audio impedance matching cable, which are a couple of resistors on here to match the level to the camera. And this camera has the ability to use manual level control. So I'm going to set the level correctly, so we're not going to be in any ALC. And I'm going to record the same sound, but I'm going to take it directly from the tape. So you guys will be able to hear the differences between the different types of tape. So we're going to start out with Type 1 in deck number 1. Type 3 in deck number 2 will play passages of the song just like we did before, and then we'll do the same thing with the Type 4 and Type 2 tapes, and we'll listen to the difference between them, and then we'll try the Type 4 and the Type 3, and hopefully you guys will be able to hear the differences between them. Now, we're not using any noise reduction on here, so any tape hiss and stuff, well, the digital noise reduction in the deck here will probably eliminate a lot of that anyway. That's what it's supposed to do. Anyway, let's plug the deck right into the camera. I'll set my levels to manual, and then we'll take a listen and see how good this deck actually records on these 4 different types of tapes. One thing you will notice is the lack of tape hiss. The digital noise reduction on this thing is just fantastic. Just listen to this. So this is a Type 1 tape. There was a bit of a crunch at the beginning, I think, at the very beginning, but it'll settle down here. But this is Type 1. Let's listen in for a bit. We're now going to go to Type 3. Again, no noise at the beginning of the leader and into the tape. Let's go back to the Type 1 tape again and take a listen to it. Pay attention to the levels. I was recorded at +3, but the Type 1 tape, we're getting 0 back. Occasionally it'll pop up to +3, but we're not getting back quite what went into it. And that's evident when I go to the Type 3 tape, which will be coming up here just in a few seconds. Go back to Type 1 tape again. Okay, let's remove these tapes, and we're going to switch over to, from the Type 1 and Type 3 tapes, we're going to switch to the Type 4 metal tape and the Type 2 high bias tape. I don't want to call it chrome because we haven't really had true chrome tapes in a long time. These are a cobalt type, but they're a high bias that use a chrome position. Let's play the same tracks off the metal tape and the chrome tape, and then we will so listen to the chrome tape first, or the high bias tape first, and then we'll compare the metal to the ferrochrome tape in a bit. Here's the high bias tape. Okay, let's go over to metal. Back to high bias. Okay, let's change things up a bit here. We're going to put the Type 3 ferrochrome tape in. I'm going to cue it up to the same place as the metal tape is cued now. I'm not going to rewind them back to the beginning. We'll cue this up and let it rip. Type 4 to Type 3. That was interesting because I'm listening with headphones, and you know, I couldn't really hear much difference between the Metallica tape. I had to put that on there because I'm looking at that thinking, I wonder if that's how they thought of the name for the band. But anyway, between the metallic tape or the metal tape and the ferrochrome tape, I was trying to hear the difference, and I tell you, this tape here sounds so bloody good. I think you guys probably will agree when you listen to this. Hopefully YouTube doesn't screw up the sound too badly, but I hope you guys enjoyed this comparison. This is going to be the last you see of this deck for a while. But we'll do a few more tests, and I'll do a couple more using the direct recording off the deck itself so that we don't have to deal with the microphone and the speakers and stuff. I got a couple of other vintage decks that we'll drag out, and we'll just kind of have a little fun video and do a couple comparisons like this. When I played these tapes back, the decks, I recorded them on this deck, so the metal tape was recorded on this one. That's why I played them back on the same deck that they were recorded on, so there was no alignment issues or anything that would compromise the sound. So the standard Type 1 tape was recorded on this deck, as was the metal tape. The Type 3 and the Type 2 were recorded on this deck. So I played them back using the same deck that made the recording. That way there was no variables. We'll do the same test. I'll even drag out my RS M275. We'll do one on that as well, and take a listen to how it performs with the various different types of tapes, because each tape is unique. You get a slightly different sound from each of the tapes, but I really do think that these Type 3 tapes, they were worth their weight in gold. I mean, really, they were a fantastic tape that really delivered good performance. Of course, they were made obsolete because Type 2 tapes improved, and of course then we got the Type 4 tape. And why have an inexpensive tape that sounded damn near as good as a very expensive tape? And I truly think that the reason we saw the Type 3 tape disappear was not because it was an inferior tape, because it wasn't, but because the manufacturers wanted to sell more expensive metal tapes. So there wasn't much market for metal tape if the Type 3 tape delivered sound quality that was pretty much on par with what the Type 4 tape could deliver. And Type 3 tape can be pushed fairly hard too. I was only recording to +3, and that was more because this particular deck uses digital signal processing on the playback circuit to eliminate noise. And of course, on digital, you can only go so high, and it's not going to go any hotter than that. And where they've got the digital circuits on this calibrated is +3. So if you go hard, if you drive it harder than +3, well, you're not going to get anything more. That's all it's going to give is +3. But when I bring out the other techniques deck, we'll be able to drive the tapes a lot harder than that and just see what comes back. But you'll be quite impressed with what comes when I do that test. What comes back off these tapes is really good on a deck that's set up to use them. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has dragged on too long. I know this is a second video basically showing you guys the same thing, but I wanted to just try to get the best possible sound quality that we could get to show off the different tapes, and I think I've achieved that this time. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.